I'm going to be honest, until this year, literally never did milk runs. Honestly, didn't really know what to do. I felt kind of awkward going and showing up. But I can tell you it's been one of the biggest game changers for my business this year. I think right now I've probably added about 5 agents who are now referring me business due to the milk runs, and I've landed a whale because of it. So I think it's a super undervalued tactic that we talk about, but we don't often do. And it is single-handedly one of the best ways for us to start creating connections, meeting more real estate agents, and finding the ones that we want to start working with. So I want to tell you first about the story on how I use milk runs to land a whale. So it's a top producer in our market, and I ended up getting a deal with her. It was a buyer that was referred to me by one of my real estate agents that I work with, and they ended up leaving this agent and started working with her. So, which is awesome. I love when that happens. It's like an opportunity for us to showcase our skills and show what we can do and how we can operate. And so the deal closed really smoothly, and she was really happy. She's like, "Yeah, you guys did great." And then coincidentally, about a week, she was on a listing for one of my buyers. And so I had these like back-to-back opportunities where I was able to work with her, and she said, "Hey, you guys are great and love working with you. Your team is great. You communicate. It's awesome." But as you know, whales are busy and they are hard to corral. Like they're hard to get that lunch with, right? It's hard to provide enough value because for them, it's a little bit more than, can you close a loan? Do you have good communication? All that stuff. So I thought about how am I going to connect with her? So I knew that she had just opened up a brokerage in town and had an office. And so I said, "Hey, I'm going to start adding her to my milk runs." And so I went the first week. I showed up. She wasn't there. I brought a book over that I really like. It's one of my favorite books, Take the Stairs. And basically wrote some little note to her and left it on her desk and said, "Hey, Amy, I wanted to share this book with you. It was so great to work with you as a professional. I just love working with real estate agents like yourself, and I would love to do more deals." And I just left it at that. Talked to a receptionist, and then I left. Didn't get a response from her, never heard anything. 2 weeks later, I showed up again. This time, nobody's there. I went and got Crumble cookies, the whole thing. I show up, literally nobody's in the office. I leave them at the door. I shoot her assistant a text, said, "Hey, sorry we missed you, but we stopped by to catch you, and maybe we'll catch you next time." So fast forward 2 more weeks. So now I've struck out twice. I show up the third time, and she's there. And so I walk in, and she doesn't recognize me immediately because all she'd seen is, my email and just pictures. We knew each other. And so I walk in and said, "Hey, Amy, it's Justin with Summit Funding." And she's like, "Oh my God. Hey, I'm so glad you showed up. Like we finally connected." And then she's telling me about how she really liked the book, right? She's like, "Oh my God, you guys have been so consistent about showing up. Like we love the cookies." We start talking for about 10 minutes about generating some leads. She kind of asks about some coaching, some other things. I kid you not, literally, she finally goes, "You know what? I don't know why we're not sending you all of our leads." And she turns to her assistant and says, "You know what? Let's fix that. Let's start sending all of our leads over to his team. Like you guys have been super consistent at showing up, and we love your communication." Right? And I think what it really like drove home for me was the fact that we were just consistent showed so much. Like we were just doing it every couple weeks, right? Even if they weren't there, like they were still planting seeds. Like, "Hey, we're here, like we're around, we're bringing something of value. We'd love to connect." So it is one of the best things that I've done this year, and now I've been super consistent. So what I want to do is give you 5 tactics that I have learned from doing the milk runs. Because when I first started doing this, I think I was like a lot of us that I didn't do it because I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing is every single one of you overthink it by a mile. So I took one of my loan officers with me. First one we go to, I'm rolling in. I'm the leader of the team. I'm like, okay, I gotta really show these guys how to do it. And I'm like thinking about what I'm supposed to say and what I'm supposed to do. And I've got this team loan officer, he works for him. He's a really good guy, very charismatic. And he walks in, and there's an agent literally sitting there in her office. And he walks up, and I don't remember her name, but he looks at the door and sees her name and goes, "Hey, Susie, I'm Chris. I'm with Summit Funding. Nice to meet you." And she's like, "Oh, hey, Chris, like, how's it going?" Like, started talking to him, struck up this conversation. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, dude, stop overthinking it. Just introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I'm Justin with Summit Funding. We're making some connections. We're getting to know some people," right? So that would be the first thing I would tell you. Just get out of your own head. Stop overthinking it. So tactic number one, pick 6 boutique offices and do 2 of them per week. So rotate them every 3rd week. I think that it's kind of the same thing. Robin's always really impressed on me is that every 21 days, they forget about you, right? So to me, I think if you're hitting those offices at least every 3rd week, you're staying relevant, you're not overstaying your welcome, right? And then you can kind of rotate on bringing some things to them and not feeling stale. So pick 6, rotate 2 every 3rd week. Now, the reason we do boutique offices, I don't know everybody's market. I look for the offices that are a little bit smaller, maybe 10 to 20 agents. Like, I would rather be super deep and connected at a small brokerage with 5 agents than be kind of known to the whole Keller Williams office that have, 60 agents and most of them never show up or do any business, right? So boutique offices is where you really want to be. The other thing I would say is I do these on Tuesdays. This isn't really a tactic, but I do them on Tuesdays. That's just what we've been coached to do. I actually found that Tuesdays work really, really great because that's when a lot of office meetings happens. And so a lot of agents tend to be in the offices more often than not on Tuesdays. So Tuesday's a really good day to do it. Number 2, this is super important. When you go in, the first step when you first go to an office is get to know the receptionist. They're the gatekeeper. They will tell you everything about different agents, who's in the office, when they have office meetings, do they have any upcoming events they need a presenter, right? So what I do is I go in, I introduce myself, I talk to them. "Hey, are you studying? Are you working on getting your license? Like, do you love real estate? Awesome. How long you been doing it? Hey, what's your favorite coffee?" Right? And I go, as soon as I'm done, I literally put it in the notes on my phone. Right. So now I've got 6 offices that I go to. And the first thing I do is I walk in, I know the receptionist's name. I know what coffee they like. I know how long, if they're studying for their license, they know me personally, first name. And now, because I've spent that time cultivating that relationship, I basically just have a run of the office. I can just come and go as I please. Huge, huge value add. The other thing, you guys, when you first walk in, you got to know the receptionist has no idea what you want. You have to tell them. So we were sitting there the first few times we'd go in and we'd start talking, and then we just kind of sat there twiddling our thumbs, and the receptionist was kind of looking at us, and it dawned on me, I go, "Oh, she doesn't know what we want. She doesn't know we want to circle around and go talk to people." So you got to say, "Hey, would you mind showing me around the office? I would love to get a tour." And they're always super happy to do it. They're like, "Yeah, absolutely. Come on back. Let me show you." And they will literally take you around and introduce you to every agent that's sitting in that office. Once you do that a few times, you can just walk in and say, "Hey, anybody here? Do you mind if I walk around?" And they will always let you do it. So reception is your best friend. Get to know them really well. Put them in your cell phone. Call them. Love on them because they will give you all the access in the world to the office. Number 3, bring something with you. Okay. So I bring cookies. I don't know. I think a lot of people have like crumble cookies. I do that once in a while. I will literally go to Albertsons or Safeway and just buy like a little box thing of cookies. I mean, generally nobody really cares. It's just having something, and it's a reason to go back to their break room to drop it off. The other thing I'll do is I'll bring either a new loan program that I think is relevant and pass it around, or I'll bring a flyer for a leverage event. So like right now, one of the big ones I'm passing around is I'm passing around the lunch and learn for next week for Marjorie, right? And I'm going around and I'm selling to the agent on how awesome she is and how amazing it will be and that they should all sign up. And so then the receptionist will say, "Yeah, send me the flyer. I'll pass it around to everybody." But I'll just drop them on a few desks. So always bring something of value so you feel like you've got something to bring for them. Number 4, ask them about if they ever do any office meetings or if they ever do any presentations. So since I've started doing this, I have had, I think, 4 presentations that I've done to the whole offices, because what I learned is that one of the biggest jobs of the front desk in a lot of these places is to fill in education. So they oftentimes are looking for presenters, or their job is to basically get somebody to come present or teach, to do CE or something like that. So they will literally jump at it. If you want to get in front of the whole office and teach a class on leads, or you want to teach something, really anything, they will let you present. You can come and present on, some new loan product. They're happy to have you do anything. So that's a big one. And then number 5. So this is one of the things that I have done that I think is incredibly valuable, is do buddy milk runs. So here's the truth. You go to an office, I don't care how charismatic you are not going to connect with everybody. Like, everybody's not going to be your cup of tea, and vice versa. So what I do is I've taken 2 or 3 loan officers from here in my branch, and we do a buddy milk run. And here's what I can tell you that I found is the energy level is incredible. When we go in and somebody's talking to the receptionist, and I'm talking to the principal broker, and I've got my other 2 LOs talking to 2 other agents, and there's a buzz and we're creating conversation, it elevates the energy in the room. It doesn't really matter. There's no real competition, because at the end of the day, I'm going to connect with who I connect with, and vice versa. So don't be afraid. And if you feel like you just kind of don't know what to say, or you're nervous about doing it, just do a buddy one. Go together, right? It's so much easier in a group, and it creates such a better energy level when you go in there. So I would highly, highly recommend doing that. And then the last thing I would just tell you is, the truth is, I think that for the most part, it's just like anything else. It's just doing it, right? When I first started doing it, you guys, I'm a pretty decent producer, and I've been around a little while now. I was kind of nervous going to them. Like, I was a little bit like, I don't really know what to say. Like, I feel a little awkward. Now I've been doing them since about February. Honestly, it doesn't bother me anymore, because I've just been doing it, right? Like, I've gotten over those nerves. I'm just getting used to going up and talking to the receptionist, asking them what's going on. Is there anything, any teaching opportunities or anything like that? And so I can tell you, if you guys want to grow your business, especially going into this market that we've got upcoming, rates are still going to be high. Things are going to be really tough during the winter. If you want to survive and you want to add some more realtors, literally, this is one of the best ways to do it. Start doing the milk runs. Find somebody in your office, find a partner to partner up with you, pick 6, and just consistently start going to them. And you will start planting seeds, because it's so much easier to follow up and call these agents after you've made a connection, after you've met them in person. It's a game changer. I just literally can't recommend it enough. So honestly, it's kind of short and sweet, you guys. I know it's only 15 minutes in. There's not a whole lot more to it than that. I mean, it's pretty simple. So at this point, I mean, I just want to open up to Q&A and see if you guys have any specific questions. Yeah, I just want to answer anything you guys, anybody have any burning questions about it?
Hey, Justin. I got a question. Oh, you go, Chris.
Hey, we actually had this conversation just a little bit ago, so I thought it'd be helpful if you could kind of just share. I did this just a few weeks ago, and this is one of the things I have not done. I've been horrible about milk runs, and so I started doing them, and I got crazy sales reflux from the receptionist. Just walking in, they were like, "Just why are you here?" Like, and just get out of my face, which, it doesn't feel great. But I kind of asked you, well, what the heck do you do with that? Like, is it just consistency? What do you do to get by that? And I thought you had a really good answer, if you don't want to share it.
Well, I don't remember exactly what I said to you, but what first comes to mind is number 1 is it's consistency, right? I show up and I just tell them what I'm doing. Hey, I'm out here in the market. I'm just trying to create connections. I believe that connections are so important. I think we got to get back to that. So I'm really making it a point to get out here and get connected and bring things of value. So, and then I just ask them questions. I ask them open-ended questions like, hey, Chris, how long you been in the business? Are you studying for your license, right? And I think it kind of goes back to they don't really know what you want, right? They're kind of confused. Like when you roll in, they don't know what to say or what to do, right? So you got to just state your intention and just let them know, hey, this is what I'm here, and just be clear on your intention. Like, hey, I want to make more connections, right? I think it's so important that we meet face to face and that we get out in our community, and that's what I'm doing. Right. And I swear to God, that's exactly what I said to the first couple. And they're like, oh my God, I love that. That's great. That's what they said. Right. So just be clear and intentional with that. Desiree.
I was actually just curious if you like limited the amount of time just so you could be sure to get to, 2 different boutique offices and then also, get your calls in and your clients and all that. But do you limit it to like an hour and just like, oh, I gotta go, like I have a meeting, or like so you don't overstay your welcome? Because I could see if I did this, which, I literally have not done it because I went to one and the freaking realtor that told me to go there was like, my broker got mad at me for having you come because we're supposed to use so-and-so mortgage company. And so he said, you can't come back. And I was like, what the hell? And so I was like, I feel like this is going to happen every time I go to places, and so then I just didn't go. But anyways, long story short, to not overstay your welcome, is it maybe an hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah. So I budget an hour and a half for 2 brokerages. So
Okay.
I don't really limit myself. And here's it's kind of the same thing with like top 40 realtor calls. Like if I had 5 calls on Monday, but they were all super deep and impactful, to me, that's way better than being super surfacey on 40, right? So if I'm going to go to a brokerage and I corral 2 agents, or maybe I have a really good deep conversation with a principal broker, honestly, if I spend an hour and a half at one that week, I'd probably go to 1 and maybe I'd try to squeeze in 3 the next week. So for me, it's not really, I'm going to put myself on a time crunch, but I will tell you, Desiree, I do try to be a little bit more short and sweet on those, right? Like I don't want to overstay my welcome, and you've got to read the audience a little bit. If they're kind of busy, I'm going to pop in quickly. I'm going to drop something off, a leverage event or flyer or something, and then I'm going to bounce, right? And I will tell you, don't get in your own head around that, right? Like the principal broker, maybe he's an old crusty guy or something like that. Don't overthink it. I mean, I might be bold and just keep showing up, or I might call him and just be like, hey, I'm just trying to make connections and help in any way I can. I know you got your preferred lender. I totally respect that. I just have a great relationship with Dave, and I just, I certainly just want to be able to meet with him once in a while. Maybe call and ask permission, right? If you can just stop by and just say, I'll be brief,
It's true.
Listen, just be bold. I promise it's okay. It's okay. Usually we're just in our own head about it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
short and sweet. Grace.
Justin, what's the book Take the Stairs about? Is that like real estate related or?
No, it's Take the Stairs. It's a book. It's a really great book. It has more. I like it more for a mindset around. Talks about procrastination, why we procrastinate, why we don't do the things we're supposed to do. And shocker, after I read it, I Take the Stairs. There's a whole thing around it. I just thought it was a fantastic book, really well written. And it's one that I pass out to a lot of realtors, and they love it because it's just about mindset and sales and things.
And what's the author's name?
Rory Vaden. So Vaden.
Thank you.
I will give you guys a real quick side tip I just got from my coach. Abe Books, ABEbooks.com. Lacey Moore's just put me onto this. So they are a used book sales. It's crazy. This book literally is like $4 online. And the books almost always don't even look like they're hardly used. So I've been starting to order them on this, and I don't care if they're used or not. I'll still pass them out to realtors because it looks like I read it and took notes, and I gave them the book I read. So super cheap way if you want to grab books and pass them out. I was blown away how cheap it is, and it's free shipping. So keep that little tip. ABE, Abe, like as an Abe Lincoln. Yep. Juan.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so what are the most top 3, top 5 most common objections that you get with dealing with the gatekeeper? Objections.
I mean, quite honestly, Juan, I haven't really had any crazy objections, and maybe I've just been lucky at the offices that I've picked have been a little bit more open. If I were to get an objection, my principal doesn't really want us to be around, then I would just play the long game. I say, well, what if I just swing by and give you coffee once in a while and just see if somebody's in the lobby, right? I would just develop, at the end of the day, it's relationship, right? And then I might ask them, well, tell me more about it. Is there a particular reason if just lenders just overstayed their welcome in the past? Is there a particular reason that your principal doesn't want lenders to pop by once in a while? Right. So I might ask more, and just at the end of the day, you guys, there's no opportunity for a sale unless there's an objection. Right. So find out what the objection is, and then you've got to figure out why and overcome it. So I've been maybe just lucky. I think our market, you guys, is also it's not a small market. It's not a huge market. So I think that helps. I know some big markets sometimes tend to be, lenders can be a little bit more like vultures. So some of the offices might be a little more standoffish. At the end of the day, if you make best friends with the receptionist, guaranteed you're going to get around that office. That's really what it comes down to. Evan.
Yeah, can you clarify your schedule again? I think I got confused. So can you kind of recap?
Yeah, so I do it on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And then I've got coaching the coaches, so I mix it up. I make sure I do my Tuesday updates super early. I get them done by 9 o'clock. So then I either go from 10 to 11:30, and then every other Tuesday I go from 11 to 12:30, depending on if I have a coaching call.
And you said 6 a week or 6 a month?
No, sorry. So I pick 6 offices.
Okay.
And then I rotate 2 every 3rd week. So 2,
Gotcha.
then 2. Yep. I don't want to go to the same office every week. Then I feel like at some point they're going to be like, oh, so-and-so's here, right? I think about every 3rd week is just about right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Great questions. Anybody else have any great questions to ask?
Justin, one addition, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So Justin and I've worked together a long time. He's extremely good at this and staying on top of it. And one of my tactics around this is if you get pushback, have a reason to be there. You might know an agent at that office and you make an appointment with them at that time. And that will overcome any problem. That'll solve that problem for 90% of what you guys are talking about. Well, I'm here to meet Justin. He and I had a coffee planned or something like that. Just have a reason, even just to drop something off. And by the way, you could one of my favorites is taking an approval letter over to it. And I don't care if you're in contract for 3 weeks, you can still drop off a physical version of an approval letter to a listing agent that's supposed to be at that office. You guys can come up with 10 different reasons to be there that are professional and necessary. Oh, you're dropping off approval. Oh yeah, okay. She's not here right now. Do you mind if I stick in her box? Hey, nice to meet you. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Look for a reason. I thought I'd throw that in there because Justin thinks of all sorts of great reasons to be somewhere, and he's very smooth.
No, that's brilliant. I actually wrote that down. Take the approval letter. That's old school. I think you used to have to do that back in the day, Dave, right? You had to take them physically and drop them off.
Before we had fax machines, when I first got in the business, we had to handwrite everything and type it up. Exactly.
Cool. Awesome. That's
Would
great.
you take the approval letter to a listing agent's office or the buyer's agent's office?
Why not?
Both. Why not?
So Desiree, here's the deal. I think you overthink it. I would take it to the listing agent and I would literally say, hey, I brought the approval letter over to you. I wanted to personally deliver. And honestly, I'm just going to be straightforward. I just really wanted a reason to meet you.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. And I don't know, because I'm not a processor and I don't really have them like memorized of what they look like, but don't approval letters are you talking about the actual one from the underwriter, right?
No, I think Dave's talking about like a pre-approval letter, anything, right? Could be a pre-approval letter.
Pre-approval letter, not like
letter. Yeah.
Underwriter gives you the approval, not that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take like a loan. No, I wouldn't take a loan decision approval.
If maybe you got a deal in process with one of the realtors that are in that office. Doesn't matter if you're a week from closing, you can still drop off an approval letter. Hey, why don't you have a hard copy for your files?
That's similar to a pre-approval, but you just place approved on it instead of pre-approved.
No. You're overthinking it. Pre-approval letter. Just take a pre-approval letter.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, they know what you're doing. They know it's just a reason to meet with them. Just be bold. Just say, hey, I just want to make connections. It's been great to talk to you on the phone. You look like a real professional that does real estate. I love that. Just tell them that. right? And they will trust me, they'll respect it. Because most lenders will go in there and be like, hey, let me tell you about this plus 1% down program. They don't care. Right? Just be bold and just tell them what you want. Cool. Any other good questions? All right. Well, cool. Well, it is, I think almost 12:30, so it's Thursday. I guess, Rebecca, I guess we get back to work now.
Yeah, thank you so
Oh,
much, Justin.
wait,
That was
Evan
great.
had a question.
Yeah, I got a last question. Have you ever done builder milk runs?
You know, I haven't, Evan. We don't really have, I mean, the only ones we have are like the big DC Horton ones.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was just curious if you have any experience with that.
I'd say it's probably really similar. I don't think it'd be much different.
You know, Jimmy does a section on that, people, and I think
Yeah.
there might be something recorded on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or hit up Krish. Krish is very brilliant around that. He's got lots of good tactics. So cool. All right. Well, I guess we get back to work. Go do some milk
Thank
runs,
you.
everyone. All right. See you later.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.